So I actually applied for medical school. I applied 3 times, but got rejected all these times. Hola guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Shannon. I'm a Dutch health scientist living in Adelaide, Australia. And in today's video, I'll be talking about how I became a health scientist. So to make it a little bit easier for myself and to make the video a bit quicker and not ramble about whatever, I just wrote a couple of questions down on my phone. So I'll just be going over them and answer them. So question number 1 is why I chose to study health sciences. So when I was growing up, I always wanted to become a doctor. That was kind of my dream. So I actually applied for medical school. I applied 3 times, but got rejected all these times. So I kind of had to make another plan for myself, and that's when I stumbled upon health sciences. Because the thing is, back home with health sciences, once you finish your bachelor, you are able to apply again for medical school, but instead of the normal one where you have 3 years of a bachelor and then 3 years of a master, this one is 4 years, and that's directly after your bachelor. So back home with health sciences, you could actually pick out of 4 streams or majors. You had management, you had prevention and health, you had biology, and then you had psychology. And you had to pick one of these streams in your first year. And to be able to actually get into or apply for medical school for the graduate medical degree after your Bachelor of Health Sciences, you actually had to go and study biology. However, in the first year, I actually preferred prevention and health. And that's why the second year and the third year, I studied health sciences and majoring in prevention and health. And this decision wasn't kind of like light, because that was giving up my dream to become a doctor. But I actually had another goal in the first year. My whole mind kind of changed when I started university. And my goal at the moment was not to become a doctor, but it was to study epidemiology in England at Cambridge or Oxford. So I was aiming to go into another direction, basically. And looking back, you may wonder, do I regret the decision? And to be honest, no. I wouldn't have been in the position where I'm at now, meaning living in Australia. Because if I would have chosen to study medicine back home, I would have stayed in the Netherlands and I would have not been able to move countries, which was another big dream of mine. So yeah, I basically chose to study health sciences with the aim or with the thought in mind of going to medical school, or at least try and apply again for medical school after. But within the first year, that whole plan changed because I had other goals. And also because of that, in my third year, I went on exchange to Australia. And during that time, I met my current partner. And it made it so much easier to make the decision to move countries and to actually go for this relationship and make it work. And that leads me to the second question, why I chose to do a master by research in health sciences. So by the end of my bachelor, I had to make a decision if I wanted to study my master's or do my master's in the Netherlands, or if I move countries already and be with my girlfriend. But I know when I went into university, the goal was always to do a master's. And I did look into moving to Australia and then do a master's here, but the prices here are so much higher compared to the Netherlands. So I made the decision to stay home and do my master. And from there, what I said, like during the first year of my bachelor, I kind of knew that I wanted to go into epidemiology. And then back home, you had 2 masters. You either had a master in epidemiology or you had a research master in health sciences. The main difference between the two is that the master in epidemiology is only 1 year, and the master or the research master in health sciences was 2 years. This meant basically that my girlfriend and I at least had to do 1 year longer of long distance, or possibly 2 years of long distance, depending on what I was gonna choose. I at the end ended up making the decision to go for the 2-year long master, because it had like a placement for 8 months. And you could do this like anywhere in the world. You were allowed to organize your own placement. So going back to the end of my bachelor, I had to make a decision. And at that time, my thesis supervisor, she actually knew someone from Australia but she wasn't sure or quite sure where she was from. But for some magical reason, she was actually coming 2 weeks after to Maastricht in the Netherlands. So she was meeting up with my supervisor. And from there we found out that she was actually from Adelaide, Australia. So my thesis supervisor got me in contact with her. And from there the decision was really easy because I was able to agree on a placement, and it was also approved by my university. So from there it was just easy, from master by research. Because the thing is as well, if I had chosen the master of epidemiology, the chances would have been that I would have not been in contact with anyone in Adelaide. So if I then actually, once finishing my masters, would have moved to Australia, then I would have had known anyone in the field. And now with this placement, I was able to work here in Adelaide, or at least do the placement for 8 months and get to know people in the field. And that leads me to the third question, how I got my first job in Adelaide. So from this placement, once I finished my masters, I basically got offered a job. They really wanted to keep me, they really liked the way I was working, and yeah, they offered me a casual job. And ever since, so it's it's a year now, I've been working with them. And along the way, I also got another job. So now I have 2 casual jobs. One is at SEMRI, and then the other one is at UniSA. So that's how I got my first job here in Australia. And that was simply by making that kind of calculated decision, but to pick the 2-year master, the research master in health sciences, and be able to do a placement here and get to know people in the field. The next question is, what are my future plans? So I am a big believer in making dreams come true, and if you work hard for it, then it is actually possible. But yeah, so I currently have 2 big dreams. One is to do a PhD. I am currently looking into doing a PhD by publication, which means that if I have 4 to 5 publications on the same topic, that I can combine them for a PhD thesis and graduate with a PhD instead of the usual going to university and kind of work for the university for like 3 years and then work on one major project, and that's your PhD. The other one, the second dream I have, is actually still to try and get into medical school. It brings new opportunity here to look into it again. So if it's ever even kind of like a possibility, because I still need to obviously have an income down the line, if I ever have an opportunity to even try, then I would definitely do that. So those are my kind of 2 big dreams for the future. The PhD one is definitely more realistic. The medical school one is a bit harder, but again, I believe if I just work hard and set my eyes on it and make that a goal of mine, that eventually, maybe in the next 5 years, I could actually try and apply. The other thing is, now that I'm working as a research assistant or a health scientist, if you like to say that, it's just to get more publications and more experience and eventually get higher up. I would really like one day to become a professor, and besides doing research, also maybe teach, and yeah, kind of combine research with more academic work. So that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. This is basically, my story of how I became a health scientist and what I am working on at the moment for my future. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to like and subscribe. It will obviously help out the channel a lot. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next one. And remember, anything is possible.